حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا، حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا، يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا، يا هلا ويا هلا ويا.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the program. It's a Wednesday morning and please watch out. We've been warned by the weather people that we're in the middle of a heat wave. So if you're thinking of going out, and very especially for the little ones, take your liquids along and make sure that they have their sun hats as well. We don't want anyone dehydrating or getting sick. So that's what is our important message for today. But lots of interesting interviews coming your way right up until 10 o'clock. I do hope you will keep us company. We'll be talking to Yusuf Moosajee from CBE. They have these annual events, they're big events, and they have very, very important people that attend the events and make huge commitments as far as social and community upliftment is concerned. We'll also be talking to Patricia de Beer about female upliftment and entrepreneurship. And we know that women are always marginalized as far as the corporate world is concerned. They may enter the corporate spaces, but sometimes do not get equal pay as their male counterparts. And that's something I'll bang on about all of the time. I think that gap needs to be closed. We're going to ask Patricia how we go about closing that gap. But topmost on our minds here in South Africa, and I have no doubt possibly globally as well, is safety in your home and road safety. And very especially with silly season just being around the corner, I think we're preparing for the holidays, but we're also worried whether we're going to have safe journeys to our destinations and back. And whilst we're away, are our properties being looked after? Are they safe? Are we being invaded? What on earth is going on? That's the reality right here in South Africa. But lo and behold, we have some saviors on the horizon. They call themselves eblockwatch, and they're doing some amazing work in our communities. I have Snyman and Ryan Shaw in studio, and a little later on in the program, we're going to be crossing over. We're going right down under to Australia, and we're going to talk to Jason Koch about the work he's doing in collaboration with the guy sitting in studio with me, eblockwatch. What are they all about? How can they lessen the burden of our worries as far as road safety and home safety is concerned? Andre and Ryan, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Wow, what a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Great to have you guys in here. And I think I've said everything in my introduction.
I don't have to say anything more. I can go on. Thank you.
No. I've been telling our viewers what exactly is it that we're worried about. And, you know, do we rely on SAPs? Do we rely on our, security companies? I'm not sure if they are well enough equipped to assist us when we do have problems. And like I said, lo and behold, eblockwatch have been around for what I believe is now 20 years.
Close on that. Since the year 2000, we started, yeah.
Okay, so why did eblockwatch come about? 20 years later, is eblockwatch fulfilling the mandate? And I know you're very, very excited about your latest developments and developments up to now. So let's start right at the beginning. What is eblockwatch?
I think eblockwatch is a passion. It's a passion with our members. Our members have grown from just two of us, my wife, myself, 20 years ago. It actually started when John Robbie was on the Raid 702. And he was going on about there's got to be, one little kid went missing, and he was going on about there must be some kind of technology. Now you must remember 20 years ago, or 18 years ago, the technology was a big cell phone, it was a brick, and the most profound technology was an SMS. People didn't even know what it was. And we didn't have Google. We used to have something, Ask Jeeves. And anyway, bottom line is that I had a transport company and my trucks were getting hijacked. I used to do Dunlop Tires distribution. And my trucks used to get hijacked. I couldn't believe it. An insurance company started clamping down. And I had to do something. Otherwise, I was going to be in a situation where I was going to go insolvent because I had to have insurance. I was losing money because of this. And I was a young man, little kids. I'm an old man now. But what actually happened was I put this thing together and used to have Blockwatch, people driving around. And I said, that's not really effective. So I thought, let's do electronic Blockwatch. So I put an E in front of the Blockwatch. So it became eblockwatch. And I went to John Robbie. I phoned him up and he said, well, he'll phone me the next morning for this interview. I said, no, I like personal people, personal contact. So he said, okay, come to the studio. And I came to the studio and I was very nervous, like my man here, who's so nervous. And John Robbie said to me, just forget about everybody out there, just talk to me. And we built this relation, John Robbie and I. He was fantastic and he asked me the questions. And then that afternoon, it was quite unique in the world. There was nothing like WhatsApp. There was no community, social media, anything. Nobody knew what it was. Eventually, Dimension Data pulled me in. They tried to study it for 6 months. We couldn't work out what I was doing, but we were just pulling in people. And in the meantime, it started growing, and we started catching people because all it is getting the right person at the right place at the right time to do something. So it's all based on crime, and we've had some incredible successes, but I'll tell you about that. So what actually happened from there is that we built this website, and now we have 91,000 people. Ooh. And in internet terms, that's not a lot of people, but it's 91,000 people that know what we're doing, because our growth has been very slow and very steady through the years. And our members are, think of me as a switchboard. They give me a problem and I plug it into a community. The community sorts out the problem. They say, oh, Andre, you're a great guy. Meanwhile, it's all my members that have actually done it. I'm just the switchboard. So people get excited. They want to get involved. They want your help. But you go, I've been to the police stations, I've been to the CPFs, and so we want to help. And then there's like a cabal there kind of thing that the guys, one is a security company is in there. And so they don't allow for freedom of doing stuff there, because in a police station, it's a hierarchy kind of mentality. You have ranks. People are not allowed to do that. If you do that, there's politics involved. Here on eblockwatch, we're all out there to look after each other, and we're all at the same level.
All right, so how safe is this? Because oftentimes you hear about a knight in shining armor going to someone's rescue and he or she gets hurt or killed in the process.
Okay, we don't do that. That's a very good question. We don't do anything that the police are meant to do. We are information and data that gets pulled together, and we see trends. We will let people know, like on our Facebook page, we've got 37,000 people. We will let people know what's actually happening in the area, and people come up with solutions. They're discussing it. We give them a forum to discuss all of these things. But when a situation happens, like it happened the other day in Pretoria, 2 women were talking in the garden and they were hijacked and put in the boot of a car and driven off. We got told about this from one of our members down in Cape Town. Contacted us and said the family members that had been hijacked in the boot of the car. I contacted the son who was driving in the car, and I said, what are you doing? He says he's driving around, he's spoken to somebody from the CPF. It was a Sunday night, about 8:30, 9 o'clock. I then SMS'd my whole network because it was an important situation. It was an emergency, and I don't do that unless I mobilized the whole of Pretoria. Now, every little person in Pretoria is one of my members has their own little security networks. They then mobilized their security network. Eventually, we had such a massive amount of experts out there and pulling in police priority crime guys. They found these people 4 or 5 hours later, utilizing the banks, utilizing the technical guys from the police, utilizing all the clever people. And what I do is I take a crime that's at the bottom and I prioritize it, because the media gets involved. And as soon as the media gets involved, then the police are on their best behavior and they do things well. And there are some amazing policemen, but there are too few of them. So we've got this massive level of police that are maybe not as good as they should be. But at the top, we have excellent police. You must realize.
Okay, let's cut to the chase here. What happened about those 2 women? Were they found?
They were found. They were found, and they returned home, and that's game over.
All right, Ryan, you're sitting here very, very quietly, but that doesn't mean that you're not doing amazing work behind the scenes. How did you get involved with Andre, and what is the role you play as far as eblockwatch is concerned?
So I'm quite new to it all. I work as an IT consultant by day. I design and build software. But mostly in the financial industry, and I've followed eblockwatch for quite some time, and I saw, a stalker. And I saw a recent post about a month ago, I think it was, about some of the work that Andre is doing, and I thought it's quite technical work, and I was actually quite impressed. And I thought, well, maybe I can get involved because I like doing that kind of really detailed technical work. So I sent him a message on Facebook, and he replied to me, and he checked me out and made sure I wasn't a stalker. And we had a coffee and we had a chat, and it turns out we've got very similar ideas, and it turns out that I'm just like all the other guys that he would jump in there and help out, and it's something to do in your spare time that's actually
all
positive.
Voluntary.
Yes, yeah, completely.
And so approximately how many hours a week do you dedicate to eblockwatch? Or do you kind of get hooked to this type of work?
Yeah, you do, because I mean, so Andre said, we're bringing information together, and my job is literally about processing information. So what we discussed was putting together something that will improve the way we put information together and make it easier for people to actually submit that information and make it easier for us to process it. And I think we'll probably talk about that later. Yeah. But that's where I got in, and just in the last week or two, every night I've been working on this. Every single night. Yeah, I haven't slept much. That's why I'm so quiet. Probably still sleeping a bit. Yeah.
So how active, you don't hone in on any particular area because of technology, you're all across. Yeah, exactly.
It's actually quite interesting. Over the years, I've now got a map that I can see where all my members are, because if I just say search members, I've got a map and I can see where they are, and we're all over the world. It's fascinating to see where these members, they're everywhere, but South Africa, we generally stick to crime in South Africa.
Okay, so this is an international organization.
No, it's
so
just
how
gone
come you're
international.
All over the world?
South Africans that are left here, they are living overseas. So these guys are now spread around the world, and they still stay as members.
So they can replicate this very same concept elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, but I don't know if they need to.
Okay, let's go for an ad break. We're talking to the guys from eblockwatch. Later on in the show, we'll be talking to Yusuf Moosajee from CBE, and we're also going to talk to Patricia De Beer, and she's targeting young female entrepreneurs. Don't go away. Lots more coming your way this Wednesday morning. Welcome back. We're talking to the guys from eblockwatch, Andre Snyman and Ryan Shaw. These are the technical fundies, and they use technology to keep us safe. You're very excited to talk about the new app or the new technology that you're introducing, and it has something to do with snakes and ladders. Before you respond to that, you have something interesting to say to us about snakes and ladders, Ryan?
Yes, well, when Andre told me about the concept, I thought, let me go look into it a little bit more, because I haven't done anything with snakes and ladders since I was a kid, and and it's quite interesting. It turns out it's actually an Indian invention from about 280, I think, so nearly 2,000 years ago.
Okay.
It's based on Hindu morality, and it's about when you have a snake, you go up, and you go down. Sorry, ladders mean you've done something good in life, and you move up the ladder, and snakes mean you go down. So when you do something good in life, you progress, and when you do something bad, you go backwards in life.
Yes,
exactly.
Of course.
And the idea is to teach morality to children.
Wow.
And we have a lot of adults, I think, these days that need to learn how to behave properly.
It's the first time I realized it makes perfectly good sense. And
yes,
I played the game as well when I was a kid. But why snakes and ladders, and how do you believe it's going to serve you guys at eblockwatch? What's the concept? What's the thinking behind it?
We've done quite a few projects. We've got quite a few initiatives out there, and you can't just go and be punitive in everything that you do. You've got to have some kind of thing that boosts you, or something that makes people wanting to, or motivates you to do the right thing. And when I was watching in the traffic how these taxis were driving on the wrong side of the road, and they were driving in very dangerous ways and dangerous positions. So I said, well, we can solve this. So what we need to do is we need to put some technology together and find out where these guys do this kind of trick that is very dangerous. So we're looking at dangerous spots, hot spots. So I thought, now we need to do something like this, and that's when Ryan and Jason in Australia, I put them together, and they're working together to create the game Snakes and Ladders, well, on the basis of it. Now, Jason does gaming. He develops games, and that's why I got him in from Australia, and he's an ex-South African, to come and help us with this game.
All right.
So this app is going to be a Snakes and Ladders. So if you see something that is wrong, at somebody driving on the wrong side of the road, all you do is you press a button and it hits a snake and it drops a pin on a map. And when it drops a pin on the map, if a lot of people do that, we'll get a heat map of where these things occur. Now, I've spoken to Michael's son from JNPD, yes, and he loves the idea, and we're going to present this app to him, and we're going to work with him. So what we're going to do is show him where these things are happening. Then we're going to ask him to solve those problems at those spots, because we can't do anything about it.
And I think you guys need to, the future should be to get the taxi drivers on board as well.
That's exactly where, this is where the ladders come in.
Okay.
So what we want to do is we want to start
give them some sort of an incentive, a little incentive.
So what we want to do is create the snakes first, and then we know where the problems are. Then we're going to get our members and everybody out there, this little app that's going to create the ladders. So the ladders will be, if you see anybody driving perfectly and not doing anything wrong, he gets a ladder. So this person will be taken to the top. And the top people, we're then going to ask for people to sponsor. And we're very ambitious at this stage. We say, let's say a tank of fuel for the person that is driving properly.
Brilliant.
Then we will give them vouchers that they can go to a filling station and fill up on the members that are out there contributing something towards all the filling stations contributing. So that would be his ladder. But if he's seen doing something wrong, he gets a snake. He goes from number 1 to 0. He gets a big snake. And he's got to build himself up again. And so we want to create a whole lot of initiatives that will benefit the taxi driver, and maybe even the people inside the taxi, like free internet in the taxis. So we want to build something that is very positive.
Okay, so this app is still in the building stages.
These guys must hurry up.
How far down the line are you with this, Ryan?
Well, we've been working on it for the past 2 weeks, and with IT it's hard to say, but what we're doing is we're just focusing on getting one little piece out, and then like Andre said, we'll get the snakes going, and that'll get the excitement going, and then we'll start rewarding people. And
okay, I know you have, you've got over 90,000 members.
Yes.
And a huge following on Facebook as well.
Yes.
How do people become members of eblockwatch? And let's assume I sign up. What's it going to cost me? What does it cover me for? It's great to know where the hotspots are and possibly avoid them. Crime hotspots as well, I should imagine. Long term, the mind boggles where eblockwatch can take you with all the amazing technology. But what's it going to cost me, and is it going to be worth my while?
Well, you know what, I also ask, sometimes I wonder if what I'm doing is worth it, but then sometimes we actually do something that saves lives.
Sure.
So, it is definitely worth it out there. It costs you nothing to join. The whole idea is to keep it as free as possible. But there's technology that we pay for. So if people want to upgrade to a premium status, they can go for a single panic button or family panic button. So that's the whole idea of how we get our finances to do what we need to do. And it's just a very feel-good project that we do. And we solve solutions. We get people out there say, how do you solve that problem? They tell us and we implement it. And we get clever guys like Jason.
All right, so if I join up, it's just, it's going to give me comfort knowing that someone's got my back.
Basically, what I do is I get the whole community to look after one person who's got a problem.
Okay.
So if you've got a problem, you tell me and I get the community to support
Good
you.
news, I believe. Oh, no. All right. My producers have just told me they tried to get Jason twice online, but both times the connection is cut.
Jason is very tired. He's been working very hard.
All right.
And he's most probably sleeping.
Let's say goodbye to Jason.
Bye-bye, Jason. We'll see you sometime. Go and do the app.
Are you in it for the long run, Ryan?
yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's lots of voluntary work. You're burning the midnight oil. What's in it for you?
It's just a sense of, look, I've always worked on things in my spare time, and none of them have ever made me money, but they've always been fun. As a technologist, that's just what you do. Some people run, some people swim, some people play sports. This is what I do. The fact that I've found someone that can take that to a broader audience and it helps them, then great. If it goes somewhere else, then that's also great. But right now, you can just sign up, it's free. And the idea is, it's just going to help us sift through all that information and find where's the best place to focus everybody's energy right now. And then from there, we'll free up time to do other things. And we're quite excited to see where that goes, I think.
I think it's got a lot of potential. And it's a lot of, people get frustrated, you get road rage. Yes. And now it gives them something to snake that guy instead of hitting the guy and getting out and smashing each other at robots. Like, this is what actually initiated this. There was road rage. Guy got out, he beat up a taxi driver. The next thing, 10 taxi drivers beat him up. And I looked at it, and that's what I said, no, I can solve this problem.
And we've heard of killings through road rage in the past, quite a number of those right here in South Africa, sadly.
And it's because of frustration, because people, you know, I said to Michael's son, I said, I can see these guys driving on the wrong side of the road. Can you guys see these? If you can, why aren't you doing something about it? So we've now joined hand. We said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start with one spot. We're going to move through. And already this week, I see he's arrested a whole lot of people. But, you know, we don't want to take on the taxi industry. We want to take on motorists. So to talk about taxis, obviously they're the big culprits we see driving out there. And I feel sorry for them because they have got to get these people to work. Exactly. They've got to make money, and their money...
They're chasing fares all the time, obviously. Fares.
So if they're getting that extra load, they make a profit. If they don't, so this is, we've got to work together with
Ryan,
them.
you have something to say?
Yes, and I think that's why it's just really important, because Andre, I think, is bringing a positive spin to this and a way to solve the problem positively. You can't just ignore the fact that these are real people trying to make money, trying to feed their family, right? And that's where the ladders concept is critical, and I don't think anybody's ever brought a positive solution about it, and that's what excites me, is how can we actually solve the problem, not just by punishing people, but actually, you know, positive reinforcement, because
this is wonderful. It's a wonderful concept, because there's people would be willing to you know, be part of this, because there is something in it for them at the end of the day, and very especially taxi drivers. They would, I think, work really hard to climb up the ladder and get an incentive at the end of it all. Yes. But in terms of, now I'm also thinking, I started the show talking about silly season. We do know that scores of people around the country are going to make their way down to the coast or wherever they're going to holiday. And the roads are going to be a nightmare. Are you going to be perhaps active in that space? You know, the two main times or 3 times a year, Easter, June holidays and December holidays. Do you not think that's a space that you can become active in?
Well, it's going to be 24 hours a day. All we're asking our members to do is to download this app when they've developed it and it's done, and then just push in a pin where you see something that is reckless driving. Then we'll be able to create these heat maps. And so people will get snakes if they're part of the Snakes and Ladders group, or they'll get a ladder. So people will continuously, it will be day and it will be night, and it will be continuously building this data, and he'll be analyzing. And from this data we build up, we will see where we're going to go. This is going to evolve. It's a brand new initiative, a very exciting initiative, and people are sending me photographs, and you can't believe it. They're talking about it on other radio stations. It's been in the newspapers already, and we mentioned it once, and it got 100,000 views. So it's like got so much traction behind it. So we're very excited about doing something good.
Now, 20 years ago, you and your wife started out trying to protect your fleet.
My wife hates this project.
Okay.
She's tired of it.
So it was obviously to protect your fleet of trucks, etc., and all your consignment. It has evolved over time. Yes. You've come to this point where you're talking, obviously, issues around the taxi industry, road safety. Where do you see yourself with eblockwatch perhaps 5 years from now?
I was asked this question maybe 5 years after I started, and I said, I've seen it all now. The technology has evolved as far as it can. I don't think it's going to go any further, because, I mean, we're utilizing every little bit of technology. And I feel so embarrassed about that answer today. Because
I'll leave you there.
Look what we got now.
We're almost at wrap-up time. You, as a technology Fundie, how can you respond to that question?
Well, I mean, I see a lot
You'll
of
have to take over from Andre. You do realize that.
I'm just about out of here.
I think I need to open his eyes a bit. I think there's lots of things that we can do. Yeah, definitely there are lots of things. I mean, as I said, once you start processing information faster, it opens up your time to do more interesting things with that information. So now you're not just trying to coordinate people and sending messages anymore. Now you're actually focusing on what you're doing and how it can be more powerful and have a greater impact. And that's, I actually wanted to give an example. In the United Arab Emirates, there's the happy police. And that's the same concept here. When you reward drivers who do the right thing, and it works there. So why can't we have that here? But we have the community decide.
And I think human nature is such, we love being recognized, we love being rewarded. And let's wrap up. And I really do commend you for opening up the space to these young, bright minds, and for them to move forward and to take your concept into the world and grow it as big as they possibly can. Thank you indeed for being with me. It's time for us to wrap up.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate this.
My pleasure entirely. Don't go away. We're going for an ad break. We'll be back with you in a minute or two. Welcome back. From technology, we now move over to entrepreneurship and very especially women and the possibility of jobs, entrepreneurship, and making space for women in the corporate world. We do know it's a very, very tight space to be in. We know it's very competitive, and very many times women are edged out of these spaces. So we have two women in studio to talk to us about the business world, the corporate world, and how to make your space, how to make your presence felt, and to prove that you're as good as your male counterparts. Women and entrepreneurship, we're talking to Patricia de Beer and Diana Peck, who are going to talk about how they've navigated their way around the space. Good morning, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Patricia, you come from the De Beer family, very well-known family, deep roots in the country, and despite all of that, you still find that this is a very male-dominated world, very male-dominated space, and women have to actually fight for their space in the corporate world, or as far as entrepreneurship is concerned.
That's true. At the moment, I must say the women are doing much better now. You are seeing more people, more ladies in higher positions. So I think it is improving, but there's still a long road ahead. And it is a tough market to crack, for us ladies to get up there and make ourselves heard, yes.
Tell us about your background. Who is Patricia de Beer, and why do you find yourself talking to me this morning about women and entrepreneurship?
Okay, well, basically, I'm a mother, a grandmother now.
Wow.
Wife to a very busy man as well. And I find, the success in life comes if you work as a unit. You have to have your family's support, have good people that you associate yourself with. And all that also helps you build the building blocks for you to succeed where you're going. You've got to be goal-orientated. And myself, I must say my husband is a big supporter. He pushes me to places where I would never think I'd go, out of my comfort zone. So I've achieved much more having support than if I had to go it alone.
Your work background, what does that look like?
Well, basically, when we started out, when we were young, we've worked hard to achieve what we've achieved as our family.
Are you married to a De Beer, or do you come from the famous De Beer family?
No. We are married to De Beer. We do have diamond mines as well, but we're not the De Beers, Okay. But, like I say, with me, we work together all along. And we've...
So what sort of work were you involved in?
I've always sort of worked with my husband. So when we initially started, we started in the automotive industry. And we've built on that. It's actually diversified to such an extent that we've got so many different outlets that support each other. Let me give you an example. We'd open a bus company, but we'll have a mechanical repair business, and then we'll have a breakdown service. So if anything breaks down, you can tow your truck back. If you need repairs done, you can do it. If you need panel beating done, we've got a panel beating shop. We have mines that use the trucks that our trucking company uses. So we use our own infrastructure to support the other companies that we own. So,
by so doing, obviously you're creating a lot of jobs, a lot of employment opportunities.
And a lot of ladies are employed with our company.
You just answered my question.
Yes.
You preempted my question.
Yes.
Diana Peck, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program. What is is this a partnership?
Yeah.
What is that? How did this come about?
So this came about when my fiance and I, Salwan, we found this venue in Lanseria. It's called Cosmic Transport Raceway and Events in Lanseria. sponsored by Cosmic Transport
Yes,
at
one of
first,
them.
and then became business partners. Motor racing is in my blood, so it's something that I'm very passionate about. So
Your
is
dad
my
was quite a
fiancé.
keen motor
Still
racer.
is.
Still is, okay.
My son is 2, he can start any racing car.
Oh, my word.
And I've been an entrepreneur since I was 21. I've owned my own businesses, always been that way, and I think it's showing young women that, you know, in any industry, motorsport, transport,
scared.
trucking, don't be scared, you know. And I'm actually currently busy with a campaign called Yes We Can, which is promoting women in motorsport. And then I'm also an ambassador for the Leader Young Women Initiative. So it's
Okay, let's take it one at a time.
Yeah.
Yes, we can. How are you encouraging women to get involved with motorsport? Because that's huge. I mean, you know, you're truly breaking barriers here and mindsets. Women haven't typically been in those spaces. So are you encouraging them to race, or are you just encouraging them to participate?
We are encouraging them not to limit their thinking. If you want to be a racing driver, it doesn't mean because you're female that you can't. So myself, along with my partner Monica van der Westhuizen, and she's a drifter.
What is a drifter?
She drifting cars around the circuit. She does
Sliding the
gymkhana.
vehicles.
Is that the
sliding
terminology that's used,
Yes,
drifting?
yes.
Okay, see, I've learned something new today.
I'm a long circuit racing driver.
So explain that to me as well.
You like Kailami circuit.
Yes.
I was supposed to race on the first. Unfortunately, I have a back injury, so I can't participate. But and then we got a couple of girls from the motocross that races motorbikes, and we're coming together as a team, and we're building a couple of cars at our venue, and we want to teach girls how to control a car. You know, it'll also help when it comes to normal everyday driving, avoiding accidents, you know, things like that. So that campaign, we want to just encourage women to get involved and show them that it's fun and it's exciting, and I can't wait to take Patricia next
So
to me.
you're involved in two campaigns.
Yes.
Which is the second one?
The second one is the Bravado movement. It's called Leader Young Women Initiative. So what we're doing is I'm taking the matric girls from the school for an excursion, taking them to the venue, teaching them how to drive. We're going to give them food, backpacks. I've got a couple of ladies that's coming out to speak to them about other options after leaving school and things that you can do to break through into other markets that young women feel that they can't.
What are the other options?
Like, I personally feel you don't have to go to university to do something. Become an entrepreneur, you know, think of your own business. What would you want to do? What is your passion in life? And figure out how to make money out of that.
Are you making money out of what you're doing currently? Because for me, it sounds like a very expensive hobby, driving, racing cars, etc. It sounds exciting, but it also sounds very expensive.
Well, together with our partners, our venue is versatile. So we book the venue out for corporate days, we book out the skid pan, we have advertising boards that, I mean, we've only had the place about, 4 months now, but we're doing very well. So that's our other means of income during the week.
Is it a safe space for young people to come to? Because we're talking high excitement.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what young people want to do. They want the thrill of a fast car, perhaps.
Yes.
You also talk skid pans. I'm not quite sure if I'm on the right track here, excuse the pun, but when you're talking skid pans, is it kind of racing those cars and doing wheelies or whatever have you?
It's like doing donuts with the cars, teaching
my
advanced driving.
There's a lot of
So
excitement
it's a
around
safe
that,
space
It's
for
a safe
young
space,
people.
yes.
How does a company like yours then collaborate with the fun, exhilarating, exciting stuff that Diana's talking about? What's in it for you?
Well, what we do is we use, because we've got in partnership with them in this venue, but we've also got a venue in Newcastle, that's ours at our truck and bus building company in Newcastle. And then we've got, a couple of venues around the country where we've got naming rights, and we also put all our signage for all the different companies at these venues. So we use it as an advertising platform where we get exposure for our brands at these venues as well. And then it's also something that we like to, it's something for the community in that area to go and do, other than sit at home. You can take your whole family to the venue, bra packs and your camping chairs, and sit there and enjoy the day with the whole family in a controlled environment. And I think it's perfect because we are in the motor industry.
And you are a bit of a petrol head
yourself. and we love cars.
Please just unpack that for me. What is a petrol head or petrol head?
It's a person that likes anything motor-related, motorsport-related. So in my family, my husband and my two girls, because I've got two daughters, they love motocross. So they've got the off-road motorcycles and they do all that type of thing.
Motorbikes.
Okay, I'm being educated as far as motorsport is concerned. I'm very definitely going through an educational process here, sitting and talking to you guys. We'll talk lots more about it after the ad break. So my guests are Patricia de Beer and Diana Peck. They're talking motor racing, motorsport as a hobby, how this collaboration has come together and how girls can start entering the space. Don't go away. We're going for an ad break. Welcome back. Patricia de Beer is in studio with me, and the pleasant surprise this morning is Diana Peck. I thought we were going to talk business, entrepreneurs, opportunities, and Diana has just put a totally different spin on the interview. She's really brought another perspective to the discussion this morning, and I do thank her for that, because it shows young people out there that you don't have to be stuck in a rut. You don't necessarily have to go to university to make a success of your life. A piece of paper, a degree or a diploma doesn't necessarily say that you've arrived. You can still arrive through hard work, determination, and doing the fun stuff that you love. You'd agree with me, wouldn't you?
100%.
Patricia, you also want to talk about a new concept that you have introduced, and it's called CoinIt.
That's correct.
What's that all about?
CoinIt is a company that my husband came up with the concept. We found that we've got a lot of mines all over the country. We do coal mining, diamond mining, all different commodities. And we found that instead of getting one contractor to do all the work, we break it down into smaller chunks and allow people, the man on the street, to come and partake in a contract, a trucking contract or a machinery contract, because there's plant on the mines as well, the front-end loaders and all that type of thing. There's different options. It starts at 110,000. That's a deposit that you put down, and then you earn a return on that. Machine goes and works for you on the mine. And instead of us paying this contractor just one big lump sum for him every month, we pay individual trucks and machines that are working there. Their sponsor, the machine sponsor, gets a return on that machine working on his behalf.
What is the criteria for getting involved with something like CoinIt? Obviously, you mentioned an amount of 110,000 rands. Yes. When do they start seeing a return on that investment? And do they physically have to be on the mines to make sure that their truck and their front-end loader, etc., is doing the work? Okay.
Now, how this works is you've got to have a deposit. The minimum amount is 110,000. That would get you an option to partake in a smaller truck. Obviously, it goes up from there depending on the size of the truck or the plant that you are investing in. But what happens from there is you pay your deposit, you fill in your forms, you go on the database. We actually manage it. It's an asset management company. So CoinIt takes that asset and manages it for you. We put the drivers in the trucks, the operators on the machines. See, everything is taken care of, and all you do is you get a return on your money every month. So it gets paid to you monthly. I'm not sure what the new rates are, because it's just changed, but it used to be about 30,000 a month that you used to get back. That's over a 36 months period. But the first 20 months, it's half of that because the contract amount is slightly more than 110,000. So what happens is your machine will go and work for you. You'll earn 30,000, but part of that would go to pay the shortfall and for maintenance and that. Mm-hmm. And then after, I think it's for the first 18 or 20 months, thereafter you get the full amount because then all that is covered. And you'll then receive the 30,000, whatever your contract is.
Right. How long does the contract last for? Because it can't go on indefinitely.
Months. No, 36 months. The contracts all are for 36 months.
And with an option to renew?
With an option to renew.
And you start again with 110?
Then you start again from there. Then you can even, if by that time maybe you've saved some of the money that you've received, you can actually upgrade to a better contract that would earn you more money. Mm-hmm. And so you can go. But,
and this is done all above the board, legally,
above board, legal,
contract signed?
Yes, everything is signed and the machines are working physically on the mines and, you know, like with the trucks, they transport the coal. And
approximately how many people do you have currently involved in Coinit?
You know, I can't give you the exact figure at the moment. There's quite a few people that have already partaken. It's not something that is an open-ended thing. So, you know, what happens is sometimes one option would be full. Because now we can't put any more of that size machine on the mines. Then the other options would still be available because you've got to balance it. You can't have, say for instance, everybody wants 110 and then you've only got those trucks working on the mine, but you actually need a few of the bigger trucks as well and other machines and things. So we've got to balance it. But my husband's always out there and I'm always out there looking for new opportunities. So it's forever changing. And you know, it's not like we're sitting back and saying, okay, this is it. We've got a bigger picture in mind and we want to, you know, this is made especially to empower people to get a fixed income for at least 36 months and know that they've got something that they can bank on.
Obviously, if someone comes to you, is desperate to find employment or better their situation, and there are about 10 of these people that come to you, but they don't have the cash up front, the 110,000 to put down. Yeah. If they go to their bank for a loan, on what merit would the bank give them the loan to invest with you?
Well, it would be, the bank would look at the individual to see how strong he's, you know, credit rating and all that thing. You know, we don't have. But
I mean, in terms of your company, the risk factor.
We actually give them a letter of intent. You know, just saying that. You know, an undertaking that if they have this deposit, this is what we are offering them, which they normally take to the bank. And I must say the banks have been very good. They have been, a lot of people are getting loans for this. Some of the banks have actually come to our company and had a look around themselves just to satisfy themselves that it is above board. So, you know, at the end of the day, this is a very good we've changed a lot of lives.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear.
So that really, a lot of people, you know, if I can think of some of the people that when they started with us, they were really down and out, you know, and now you see they've got 2-3 cars they're riding around with and they're busy paying their house off and, you know, it's going
So you're creating opportunities, and you're asking people to believe in themselves and believe in your concept.
And you know what this is also doing? Every contract that's taken is creating employment because we have to employ a driver for that vehicle that's going to be put to work. You know, you have to expand your maintenance crew, you know, everything, it's got a knock-on effect.
Absolutely.
So the people that partake in this contract is actually creating an employment for somebody else as well.
Guarantees that this will be ongoing for 36 months or more. Yeah. So I go to the bank for a loan to start up with you. What sort of guarantees are put in place?
I'm not sure.
On your side?
On our side. You know, we don't guarantee the people's loan. But from our side, we've been going for many, many years, and the company is a growing concern.
And these are assets you own, physically owned?
Physically owned. They can come and see them. You know, we actually take them for a tour. When the clients come there, they come for a presentation to our premises. And we've got a little bus that or a little truck that we've converted into like almost a golf cart, you know, with the seats in the back. And we take them for a tour and they go and see what the options look like, what they can
with due respect to you and the fact that you're opening this up to very especially women entrepreneurs to say, here's an opportunity for you.
Exactly.
But I must say, it does sound too good to be true. Yeah. And as I say, with due respect to you.
No, a lot of people say it is too good, but this has been going on for quite a few years now. It's not a new thing.
All right, let's bring Diana in, because she is in a business collaboration with you. Can you testify that this does seem really legit and above board, and you would urge young people, and very especially women, if they are able to take up this opportunity, empower yourself, enrich yourself, and create job opportunities for other people?
I definitely would, because especially being an entrepreneur and working for yourself, getting a consistent income every month is very difficult. So having something like Coinit, that's you got that money coming in every single month, you can focus on what you want to focus on instead of having to work for a boss or to do something that you're not happy doing. You know, so 100%, if I can take out 10 contracts right now, I would. Because
Are
it's
you
a
involved
stable
in any,
income.
apart from your racing collaboration that you have with Patricia, is there any other business collaborations between the two of you?
Yeah.
Which is?
It's Coinit and Cosmic Transport.
Yes.
Those two?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Cosmic Transport.
So Cosmic Transport is...
It's a transportation company.
Yes, it's...
Now, I want to know what's your
for
involvement.
Oh, then my involvement is getting, so myself and my fiance and my dad, getting the racetracks branded, helping with the marketing, getting all the boards up, and it's basically just getting it out there on our platforms, and we're collaborating as such. So our transport, our raceway is called Cosmic Transport Raceway and Events, and we've just
Is this at
secured...
Kailami? No.
No, it's in Lanseria. It's
Lanseria,
a couple of hundred meters from the airport turn off. And we've secured Richards Bay, we've secured Namibia with, naming rights, and it's something where...
And I know Selvin's going to Dubai as well.
Yes, he's going to Dubai soon.
To do what in Dubai?
I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do.
We can't say much, but
It's sort of a secret at the moment.
To secure future business opportunities, I should imagine.
well,
On the
motorsport,
motorsport,
motorsport front.
Obviously,
yes.
okay. Patricia, what do you want to say to very especially women watching us this morning? You know, there are lots of retired women or young women who can't find jobs. There's graduates we know that are walking the streets. Why should they be approaching you to give them a hand up? Not a hand out, a hand up.
Hand up. I'd say, myself personally, if I think of when I was growing up and all that, I didn't come from a well-off family. My parents were always hustling, and I didn't go to university and all that type of thing. But, you can do whatever you set your mind to. If you feel that you want that goal, always keep your eye on the goal. Never take your eye off your goal, and always do everything in your power to work towards that goal. Try not to stray from the path. If you're heading in a certain direction, always try and work everything you do so that you slowly, even if it's slow, move in that same direction. But don't sell yourself short, that's the thing.
In closing, Diana, what do you have to say?
I totally agree with what Patricia says, and one of the things that I really stand by is be positive and believe in yourself, and there's nothing that you cannot do if you really want to.
Just apply your mind, apply yourself. In closing, Patricia?
What I'd like to say is we are not here to just take people's money and make a big buck. Our companies always give back to the community as well. We're involved with a lot of uplifting of the communities. We sponsor a lot of sporting codes. We've been recognized by our local municipality with an award for helping.
And your local municipality
the
being?
Umzinyathi District Council.
Which is
in
KZN.
KZN, yes. I was honoured by giving 5 awards at the KZN Sports Awards this year. I've even got a bodybuilding team I sponsor. I've got athletes, running clubs, soccer teams, netball teams. You name it. We try and do as much as we can for the community.
So you're really conscious of your social responsibility.
Yes. So, like I say, together we can do more.
Well,
if we do it by ourselves, we can't do much.
Well, thank you for sharing what you have with other people and uplifting them. Thank you for showing young people that, and very especially women, that there are opportunities. Just go out, seek them out, and start making it happen for you.
focus.
Thank you indeed.
Right.
That was Patricia de Beer and Diana Pick talking about a very different world, the world of motorsport and the world of job opportunities through Patricia de Beer. So if you're unemployed or if you're sitting at home and wanting to make a difference, these are the people you can contact. And welcome back. Great to be with you, and thank you for your company this Wednesday morning. I do hope you're keeping out of the sun and keeping the little ones fully hydrated and safe in the shade. Next up, we have Yusuf Moosajee and Rashid Choptat. They're here to talk about their big annual event of the year. I must say that I have attended one or two in the past, the Congress of Business and Economics event, and it is very definitely the highlight of the year, not only for them, not only for the participants, but for the attendees as well. So let's hear what they have planned for us this year. But before we get to that, let's understand who is the CBE, what is it they're doing, and how are they uplifting the communities around them. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam, thank you for having us.
Always a pleasure. And Yusuf, amazing work. You've been at it for years and years and years on end. Why do you do it? I know that you involved, this is an NGO?
NGO, that's correct,
right.
yes.
And I know that you are totally committed to the CBE, and you have been for a long, long time. What's the story?
You know, actually, 2 weeks ago, I spoke to someone. We were having a discussion around NGOs and around charities and how difficult it is these days to raise funds, especially for NGOs. And they were telling me that they really burnt out. And I said, you know, raising funds and being part of NGOs is a calling. It's something that you either enjoy doing or you don't. In my situation, I've been involved, like Rashid, so many years with different organizations. It just becomes a natural process, and we just soldier on.
Absolutely. And of course, growing up in a very activist environment, you're kind of not far away from your growing years. It's about putting back and making a difference in the communities that you live in.
The Congress of Business and Economics, people would know by now, is emerged out of the Transvaal Indian Congress at the time. It was initially known as the TIC Business and Economy Group. Subsequently, the name got changed to the Congress of Business and Economics. So even today, we still model ourselves around an activist business organization as opposed to a normal chamber of commerce. So the type of things that we would do would be a bit distinct from a normal chamber of commerce. Ours is more activism in business.
Give us examples, because we know that as business people, and we're all in business to survive, and we're all in business to see that we have a very healthy bottom line reflecting.
That's right.
But you and your approach to the CBE is slightly different, and you have to survive. Obviously, you have to survive. So how is that different, and how does it make a meaningful difference to the communities?
Okay, the major difference, I believe, in terms of what we do as opposed to chambers of commerce is that we engage government in trying to create a better and enabling environment for business to survive in these difficult times. There's a lot of red tape. And red tape is created by government.
And particularly SMEs are crying because they don't get paid timeously, or they just are not enough opportunities because the big guys get all the big chunk of all the work. But just mull over those two statements that I've made. I'm going to come back to you in a minute or two. Let's introduce Rashid to our viewers. Nice to have you in studio with me, Rashid.
Pleasure, Julie.
What are you up to these days?
Well,
apart from being involved with CBE,
I'm involved in training and development, especially at NGOs. We have an annual leadership program. We're bringing people from different parts of SADC countries, and they go through a 6-day internal leadership qualification. So we get about 55.
What does it cover?
It covers a whole variety of topics, ranging from public speaking, writing reports, minutes, anything to do with running an office, and obviously leadership qualities and development. So we focus on that. So at the moment, that's my keynote forte.
How often do you roll this out? Because you suggested 6 days for the program. So is it ongoing throughout the year, or is it just once off during the year?
It's once off during the year, and then we run a series of other day or weekend leadership programs in different parts of the country.
So who qualifies and what is the criteria?
Basically, it's NGOs, and most of them call to say we want certain things done, so we respond to their needs. That's basically how we function.
So guys, young people, unemployed people, or someone who has a very small business, possibly want to take the business to the next level, or haven't had a formal education and believes that these type of training programs that you're offering might serve them very well, could they approach you and could you take them on board?
Indeed we do. We look forward to those opportunities. You know, I think Yusuf and I in particular, we've got years of experience in administration and governance, so we'd like to give back and help grow the younger generation into good administrative and leadership capabilities.
And your collaboration with CBE?
Well, I'm a former board member of the CBE, also part of the specialist subcommittees. So we have a relationship going back about 20, 30 years odd in activism.
CBE and the big upcoming event. I left you with 1 or 2 thoughts. Would you like to respond to them?
If you mind repeating the question, Julie, if you don't mind. Okay.
Engaging with government.
Okay.
And also the small man, the SMEs.
Okay. Currently, we're going through a very, very difficult period in our economy. And this is now further exacerbated by business unrest. It may not be so much in the press domain, but it will be, because we have a lot of businesses that have approached us recently to say that there's been business unrest from certain elements within the community where businesses have been disruptive. We were then, because we have an MOU in place with the Ahmed Katara Foundation, the business people had approached the Katara Foundation for assistance with the disruptions, strikes and so forth. The Katara Foundation believe that the CBE is well poised, or should be well poised, to be able to take this further. We've been engaging business people, and we've been extremely, extremely busy over the last 4 months now, and it's been really a difficult period as well, because business people have been going. There's been business people that have 2 or 3 business people combined have put off staff of about 800-900 people because of disruptions.
And we're hearing about the SABC going to be putting off about 2,000 people. Can you just imagine? Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat.
Okay.
The impact on the economy.
The impact on the economy is huge, especially coming at the back of the job summit, which the president has announced recently, with creating the environment for investment and growth. It is unfortunate that you have to put off 700 people, because that's 700 multiplied by 4 or 5 in some instances, a huge, and these are South Africans that are out of job. It's unacceptable. The noises from the background on these disruptions of certain political parties that have become de facto unions, it's not acceptable in this period of time. We've been engaged in government with this, and government, I must say, has been extremely helpful. We're going through this particular process. There's virtually meetings every second, third day, and that's what we've really been involved in.
Let's hold that thought. We'll be back in a minute or two. We're going for an ad break. Let's take an ad break. We'll be back with you in a minute or two. We're talking to Yusuf, Moosajee and Rashid Chopdat about the upcoming CBE event, and just what exactly is it that the CBE is involved in on a regular basis. It's great to be attending the events. They are fabulous, I might add. I've attended 1 or 2 of those. They have the most amazing guest speakers there, and it's an event to be at. And also, I think over and above everything else, it creates the most amazing networking opportunities. You'll agree with me there, won't
Absolutely,
you?
absolutely.
We'll get back to the glamorous stuff in a minute or two, but let's continue talking and focusing on the issue around unemployment, masses of young people roaming the streets doing nothing. And, on the back of the Jobs Summit, you have talks about people being laid off at the public broadcaster. How can the CBE and other such organizations start making a meaningful difference?
I believe that we need to probably look at an economic summit, similarly to what took place during the pre-democracy with the CODESA thing, where the unions and government and everyone sat together around a table. I think the time is right now for a business CODESA, for want of a better word, where we need to have labor, we need to have business, we need to have government and possibly civil society around a table and map out a plan. The government has created the National Development Plan. I don't believe it's been implemented.
What are we seeing coming out of that?
I don't believe it's really been implemented. And I believe we need to sit around the table and work out how do we create a better South Africa for all. And talking about how do we create a better South Africa for all, that's part of our event that's taking place on the 24th of November, which we'll talk about in terms of how we...
Well, I'm going to come back to you to talk to whet our appetites with all the amazing speakers you're going to have there. And before I switch over to Rashid, talking about a business or an economic CODESA, is it not going to be just another talking head session, Yusuf? Are you going to see tangibles coming out of that? Are you going to see constructive issues being put down, being bedded down, and jobs being created? Because that's the bottom line.
We need to talk. If we don't talk, nothing happens. So at least the first step is talking, sitting around the table and making sure, and hopefully implementing that. If union, civil society, government, business can come to a common understanding and draw up a blueprint for the next 20 years in terms of what needs to be done. But I believe that the talk needs to take place. If the talk doesn't take place, we just remain where we are.
Okay, Rashid, your thoughts on my questions and Yusuf's responses? Because you work with young people all the time. You're busy upskilling them. You're giving them skills on how to better themselves and the little SMEs.
Yusuf is correct. We need to have some summit or the other to really tackle that problem head on. The youngsters at the moment have no direction whatsoever. They're not getting any skills direction at school level. By the time they come to university, they are lost. We know some of them change careers every year or so. Some go 3 years into 1 year phases. So indeed, we need to look at a whole new plan for this country, how we're going to employ young people for the next 30 years. I won't even say to next 30 years. Many foreign countries have done it. They've looked at the situation and said, where do we need our skills in? What industries? What our finances are going to be like? Where do our youth fit in? And this is something we need to do very, very urgently.
Yusuf, you will agree with me, the new buzzword in the industry is entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Easier said than done. What exactly does it mean? Government and anybody who's anybody tells you that the way to get young people meaningfully and gainfully employed is that they need to have an entrepreneurial spirit in them. But you've got to start, you've got to have some form of startup capital, etc. Otherwise, you're not going to get far. Your thoughts?
Government had created some years ago the youth subsidy. There was opposition, I believe, from unions on the youth subsidy. I think it needs to go back onto the agenda because the youth subsidy at least allows youth to get their foot into the door. And once, because corporates pay a fee and government would contribute to that fund. It may not be a huge amount of salaries that the youth would get, but at least they get their foot into the door. And once the foot is into the door,
are you talking about like a mentorship program?
It's more than a mentorship program. It is in part a mentorship program, but it's a subsidy whereby the youth get access into the corporate world as well, or into big business.
How do they access, getting into these?
I believe the opposition had come from the unions.
Oh, so it hasn't happened?
It hasn't happened.
Oh, it was on the table,
so it was on the table and was put off the table. I think the government needs to be stern and absolutely stern on this issue and put the youth subsidy back onto the table and get the youth, because we have an army of youth that is unemployed. And that army of youth is unemployed could be dangerous for this country.
Absolutely, because you then could have what is called the South African Spring, and we don't want that to happen, because it's going to bring the country to its knees. We know that unemployment is sitting at possibly 27% as we speak. As the CBE, what sort of plans do you have going ahead? I'm sure your voice does count in the government corridors.
Legislation needs to be loosened in terms of entrance into business, in terms of small business. The main producers of employment are not the corporates. It's a small business. And that's what we need to do. The government needs to look at loosening legislation at that level to entry, because there's just too much legislation, there's just too much paperwork for small businesses. Small business needs to concentrate on building the economy, not concentrate on doing paperwork to make sure that the legislations are being complied with. So that's the first thing government needs to look at, is to loosen legislation. And by then you have more and more businesses coming into the fold, and those are the businesses that employ people. And that's how you start helping unemployment and growing the economy, yes.
Rashid?
Two things need to happen in my view. We need to change the education system in grades 10, 11 and 12. We need to bring entrepreneurship.
I think it needs to start, you need to change it from scratch.
Yeah. And
from entry level.
The other aspect, the CETAs need to be really looked at again. There's billions of money in the CETAs. And they need to also, again, loosen their grip on the way that they disperse these funds. It's not easily available, there's a lot of red tape in it. And there is money available, it's accessible. And like Yusuf says, there's just a lot of red tape, and that needs to go as quickly as possible.
And sadly, you talk about the education system being tightened up. It's not going to happen if you're still having in this day and age between 40 and 60 learners per class.
Certainly
it
not.
is impossible for any learning to happen in an environment like that. Let's change the mood of this conversation now. It's a bit dreary in the sense that it's all bad news. And we hope and pray, inshallah, with the collaborations of the CBEs of this world, government and other such organizations, we can and will uplift the youth and business going forward.
Inshallah.
Let's talk about the amazing event that's going to happen next week, Saturday, I believe.
Yes.
Right.
This is our 4th edition.
And it's the event of the year as far as the CBE is concerned.
As far as the CBE is concerned, it's our signature event.
And there's common sense and good reason for this event happening, isn't it? It's not just a hearty dinner being had and listening to a few speeches. It's way more than that.
Oh, absolutely. We've had people tell us that our last year's event was probably the best event they've ever attended for the calendar year of 2017. And it was an exceptional event. And we then sit around the table and we says, how do we better it? Can we better it? Or can we at least make it equal? Now, traditionally, firstly, it's tribute to our heroes. It's people that have played a role in creating the democracy that we are currently in, and we recognize those type of people because we need to continue. History has to be
remembered.
Told and remembered all the time, and we have to do that because no one else is going to tell our history. So one of the things we do is we recognize people that have created this environment that we currently in, where we have a free South Africa. And traditionally at our events, we've always had a storytelling session. The storytelling session is about the past and what people have done, and it's engaging. People like that. This year we've decided to change it a little bit, given the economic climate, given the rise of right-wing movements all over the world, given the rise of Africanism in this country, if I might add as well, which are all not very, very healthy signs. So we decided to have a panel discussion this year on building a better South Africa for all. And the panelists this year, Rashid will share some of those names, are incredible. And if there's nothing else for this event, if people just come and listen to this panelists that are going to be there, I believe you me, it's going to be totally amazing. So who are the
people on the panel, Rashid?
Okay, let's let the secret out.
Right.
We've got at the top Derek Hanekom,
Minister.
Also a Minister, Derek Hanekom, who's been involved at union level. He wrote the policy for ANC on land and agriculture, so he's going to be talking from that point of view. We've got Karima Brown coming to join us.
Wow.
Professor Adam Habib, and Professor Stephen Friedman. So we've got people that have experience from wide-ranging journalism, media, politics, labor politics. I remember Stephen used to be a reporter at the Daily Mail, and he wrote the most beautiful articles. But between them, they have some unique ideas and thoughts they're going to share with us how to build a better South Africa for all. Okay.
And how long will that discussion last for? And will it be open and interactive with the audience?
Because it's an awards evening, so we're recognizing people for the role. And I might add, this year is also the centenary of Nelson Mandela, former President Nelson Mandela, and also Ma Albertina Sisulu. It's both the centenaries. Right. So we're starting off by recognizing the centenarians, and we're giving a citation to those two families as well. Right. And then we have the awards that we give to recognizing people for the role that they've played in this democracy. The panel discussion will take 45 minutes. We only have so many hours that we can do it. So we're not going to have an interaction session with the audience, but the moderator of the event is obviously going to try and extricate as much as possible. Rashid omitted Mcebisi Jonas as well, that's going to be on the panel. So it's going to be an interactive panel between the moderator and the panelists, more so than the audience and the panelists, but it still will be an exceptionally good session, I believe.
Undoubtedly. Rashid, you wanted to talk about the programs that you have on your lap. I have one or two of those because I have attended past events. What's so special about it?
These are becoming collector's items for our guests that attend our functions. They get the awardees and the other keynote people that attend our functions, Captain Industry, to sign these, and they become, I would say, collector's items for them. But in terms of the function as well, if I could just touch on that, we become known for having giving value for money. And this year, perhaps I want to throw a challenge to the ladies. We've noticed a pattern that we don't have any lady attendees other than husbands bringing their wives. And there's so many women organizations out there. And we say to you ladies, come over and join us because these are unique events. These are politically correct events. So come over and sit with us. I will hesitate to say we'll give you a refund if you're not happy, okay? But yes, indeed, I mean, you know, we recognize for punctuality, for quality food, you know, providing a warm welcome from the start. So.
We're almost reached a wrap-up time. Are there still tickets available, and how do people access tickets?
There are still some tickets available. Not much. We believe that by the weekend we should be sold out. People can access it by going on to, by emailing us at info@cbeonline.co.za or call the office at 011-837-5728. If there's any queries, any questions that people would like to ask, we'll be more than happy to field those questions. And really, it's going to be an amazing event. Our events, Touchwood, has always been amazing, and we believe this will be no different. Yes.
And I absolutely second that. I know I've attended some of your events, and they are absolutely amazing. In closing, Rashid.
Can I just add that it's not only for Muslims. CBE is an open organization, so we're inviting everybody to come to this function and enjoy themselves. It's value for money, meet people, get to know people, and let's
network and hear some amazing people share their views for a better South Africa with the CBE, inshallah. That's where we leave it. And of course, time for us to wrap up. Thank you for your company throughout this morning. And if you've never attended any one of these events, the CBE event, I urge you, get in touch with them and go and attend the event. It is truly an eye-opener because it's not only about meeting and greeting and possibly networking, but it's about your position in South Africa, how you can make a difference, and just listen to the people who have thoughts about how we go forward collectively in South Africa to make it a better place to be, not only for us, but for future generations to come. And of course, we're talking about the Congress, CBE, Congress of Business and Economics, and Yusuf Moosajee is obviously heading it up, has been for the past so many years. Time for us to wrap up. Thank you indeed for being with me the entire morning. Loved your company. A big thank you to the production team. And as always, please take care on the roads. Till the next time, as always, it is a Khud Hafiz from me, Julie Ali.
يا هلا 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 حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا يا هلا ويا هلا